Hey, and welcome back to the human side of project leadership, my conversation series with speakers from the Digital PM Summit 2026. Today, I am very excited. I'm joined by someone I have admired and I feel like I've known for a long time now. Crystal Richards is here. Hi, Crystal. How are you?
Hey, Brett, I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for joining me at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. So, Crystal is the founder of MindSpark. She's also the author of PMP Exam Prep for Dummies. And today is actually book release day.
It is. I'm
That's
so geeking out.
that's so exciting. I'm so happy for you. And also like so happy for you because you're someone who has helped thousands of project management professionals to become better PMs and stronger leaders. I also just want to mention that I feel like you've been incredibly supportive of me personally. We met through the Digital PM Summit. You've come and spoken at the event and totally nailed it every time. And you generously wrote the foreword to the second edition of Project Management for Humans, second edition, my book, which when I read it, I almost started to tear up a little bit, Crystal. Like, and my editor read it and she was like, wow, this is really amazing. So thank you for that.
You are
So
so welcome.
at this year's PM Summit in October, you're going to be giving a talk called Recess for Grownups: Why Your Best Project Thinking Happens When You Stop Working. And I think it's a topic that people are really going to enjoy. It's like a kind of a topic that I think all knowledge workers need to at least think about and acknowledge. So I want to talk about that. Let's jump in. Like, I think this title is probably one of my favorite talk titles this year at the event. Like, where did the idea of Recess for Grownups come from for you?
Gosh, the COVID, right? We were all stuck inside, and I was looking for a way to keep the connection. And during COVID, I started this lunch series called Indoor Recess. And it was just let your hair down, talk about our challenges, rather it being a like pre-canned presentation, so to speak. And it was just looking at different ways of how to approach our challenges, how to celebrate our wins. I ended up making it into a series, like a summit. So I have indoor recess summit, but the whole concept of indoor recess needs to continue on. Don't wait for me to host a summit. Like you need to do that in your own work. And, everything from one of my favorites, that's some of the things that I've learned from clients is have a scavenger hunt. Like, what's in a book that we're all kind of like either loving or hating in terms of like the PMBOK guide? Like, okay, what do they say now? And talk about that. Or it is a hackathon, right? Like, we just don't hear that. We hear it from someone else doing it, but we can do it within our own organizations, and a lot of the things that you hear that sometimes maybe we make fun of in the agile space, like mobbing and swarming. You can do those things. Like it really can help us
It's true.
think outside of the box, brainstorm, and have a little fun and high five each other around that. And, we have a lot of tools now that can supposedly make us more efficient, right? AI. But then you're so into it, it just not have time to do more work, right? Like, so you get caught up in your bubble and you're not connecting with others. And that's
Yeah.
where I really saw the recess piece is not so much like, oh, self care day. Like everybody should have a self care day. I'm talking about connecting with each other
Yeah.
in an out of the box thinking kind of way of it's not the humdrum meeting, but it is the connection point that we needed as kids. Like we're like there's the
True.
science out there right now of how important resource recess is for kids. It's just as important for us as adults.
It's true. And I actually attended one of your recess events and made really good connections there. met people who were outside of my industry in project
Mhm.
management and program management facing really similar challenges that I'd been facing. So I, I definitely recommend anyone check out your website, mindspark.com, see when the next recess is. I think I'm going to come to one of the upcoming ones as well. So, um,
Hey.
one of the things that you say in your session is that a lot of project managers equate their value with being available.
Mhm.
Why do you think that's been such a defining part of our profession?
I definitely have noticed it's hyper super sensitive to it during COVID, right? Everyone's trying to justify working remotely. And
Mm,
because I get it, prior to everything, when you worked remote, when you were like the lone two people working remote, right? You justified being able to keep that situation going by being available after hours. Because you did get the benefit of, like, I'm gonna go do laundry or dry cleaning, and I'm gonna go to the gym in the middle of the day, but I'm back on at 6 o'clock at night and burning the midnight oil, and now it just doesn't stop. And then it's also too compounded by the fact that we are working with global teams.
yeah,
And so it's like, well, who's gonna be the 7 o'clock PM team, and they're the, 7 AM team or anything like that. So part of that is also kind of compounded that allows us to have global teams, or we're working remotely in another country. And so it's just kind of that cycle. But it's it's also too, like, the sense of urgency now with projects of it's now, 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 now. And I don't know, I definitely notice it here in the States. I haven't talked to a lot of folks overseas, and I don't know if, you probably, you've done a lot more international, like, if it's the same. I always feel like when I go to other countries or talk to people in other countries, they're, like, having their siesta. They're, like, having, I'm off at 4, and, for us, getting off at 4 is a luxury, and
yeah.
we need to have that separation.
I think there's
Um
pressure. I think it's probably stronger here. And I think, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of it comes down to just the culture in the US around work and relaxation, self-care,
Yes.
recovery. I'm curious, this as a topic for you, like, was there a moment in your career where you realized, like, working harder wasn't actually producing better work? Like, what kind of led you to the idea of needing recess?
Gosh, I mean, it's I know my signal is when I just, like, I don't care. Like, when I get to that point of some point in my project work where I'm like, I just I don't care, and I'm very much an A student, right? So, it's gotta be I try not to bedazzle it too much because we know that that gets out of, like, what, gold plating. But I think it's when I get to that point of I'm just gonna do the bare minimum, I know I need a break. And I'm still that person that I wanna give you my all, and I wanna give you probably 110%. And I'm always reminded of a professor who said, "Crystal, you're, thinking way up here, and the rest of everybody else is, like, right here." And he's like, "It's not to say that you have to live in mediocrity, but just don't burn yourself out."
Right.
And it's sometimes the things that I do to add, now it's expected. And then I can't step back, and then when I do step back, it's like, "Crystal, your performance," and I'm like, "Are you serious?" Like, what I'm giving you, like, even the bare minimum is still pretty good.
When you're already a high performer. Yeah.
Exactly.
So So it sounds like at a point of you start to recognize that you're at a point of burnout when you start to not care, or you're
Yes.
just over it, right? Like another stakeholder request, another team challenge, another risk that you have to address. It's kind of like once those things start hitting your plate and you don't have energy to do it, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
it's time for me to take a minute. So how do you like, what is your method? Like, how do you step away? What do you like to do to kind of like recover? Because I think there's this idea of like burnout and this huge recovery of burnout, which I think the whole world in some way has been going through over the past
Mhm.
few years, right? Like things are just like wild. Um, but there is also just like the burnout in your job that you have to get over because you got to show up tomorrow. You
I
gotta
gotta pay
show up
bills.
next week, right? Like, so what is your thing? Like, what brings you back to it? What gets you back? What gets you recovered?
So this is and I have to decide if I wanna, like, put myself out there, but I've gotten into graphic recording, and I love drawing. You know, the professional doodlers
Oh,
and
cool.
at conferences, and I I have, like, mastered a stick figure, let me tell you.
I love it.
I'm just like, I'm learned all different ways, and that is part of that is part of the recess that we did, just drawing and being creative and using a different part of my brain. Now, sometimes I will still, I can't help myself because this is what I do as a business, but I'll draw maybe a concept in project management that I just talked about, or a presentation that I did that I'll do an overview. And it's just fun and relaxing to do that. And I think anything that has me working on my hands that's not typing is
Yeah.
so relaxing to me. And, for a little bit, but my formal business name is Mosaic Resource Group, and I was really into mosaics because there was something very cathartic about taking a hammer to some glass,
Oh, yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then, literally trying to fit them together again and find this pretty picture, and that is, like, literal and
So
metaphorical,
interesting.
right?
Yeah.
It's like taking those broken pieces that happens in our projects and trying to find a way to fit it that you're gonna get some type of outcome that you're proud of, and that's, the kind of the inner being of who I am and what my business is about. So, like, when you look at my logo, you kind of see, like, these little broken shards of glass,
Yeah.
but it's even though I, like, had updated my name, it's still representative of
Well,
what
a
I'm
part of
trying to
it.
do.
It's a part of
Yeah.
what you do also. Um, I'm sitting here thinking about like recovery and burnout, and there are people I've known in my career who would be listening to us thinking, that sounds great. Don't have time for it. My company would never be on board with it. Like, how do you respond to people who feel like they don't have permission to step away? Because there are project managers out there who are just like, work is intense. Like they might slam their laptop shut at 5 p.m. and still be thinking about it all night. But yeah, I think there's this pressure that comes along with the job sometimes, and sometimes people don't feel like they have permission to step away. So yeah, how would you respond to that?
There's a couple thoughts behind that. Either do it now or it's gonna be forced on you. Like, that's gonna catch up to you, and I know, like, in my 20s, I got so stressed out, I broke out into shingles.
Oh my goodness!
Shingles!
Wow,
In
in
my
your 20s?
20s.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was interesting because, like, maybe a couple weeks later in the Washington Post, I live in the DC area, there was an article titled "Shingles in the City," and it was literally talking about how young people were getting so stressed out and they were getting shingles. And it was that was definitely the, like, peak of me realizing I'm never gonna let a job stress me out like that again, so I don't. Um, because I don't w it was unbearable pain, so if anybody that
Yeah.
has, parents, older people who usually get this, it is absolutely uncomfortable, so I don't wish that on anybody. But I think it really is a case of, I'll say it not to be morbid instead of saying, on my gravesite, on my retirement, right? Do I really want it to say she worked the midnight oil, she gave it her all, but have no time for her family? I don't want that. I want that separation. I think that's why even working from home sometimes is it's a blessing and a curse because when you're at home, you see that desk, you see that laptop. If you're not in a separate room, there are times in my office I am literally like I we joke in my family, my desk trapped me. And when I step away, and it's also like it dual functions as our like lounge, my husband will want to come up here and watch TV. And I'm like, I don't, because I'm in my office. Like I need that separation.
Yeah.
And so it's really making sure that we make those separations and enjoy life because it's going to pass you by. I am going to have a milestone birthday next year. And I'm just like, wow, like, I'm happy, but there were so many things I thought were gonna happen, and I don't want that for anybody, and if you wanna take trips, if and oh my gosh, do not take a satellite phone. I've heard of people go on to a cruise, and
Goodness.
they've taken a
No.
satellite phone for work, and I'm like, "It's not that serious."
No.
I mean, unless you work in the medical field, I always say, "Is anybody gonna die if this
Right.
doesn't get done?" And usually they're not. They're gonna be so glad to see you, so hopefully that'll be the case. But, we
I mean,
definitely
even
need
if
to.
they are, you still have license to disconnect from work at points and
Yes,
and go on vacation without a freaking satellite phone. I mean, that's just unhealthy
exactly.
living.
That's
Yeah,
not a vacation. And
exactly.
buffer it. Like the day before, don't go to work. The day after you come back, don't go to work because you
That's
don't get
that's really
that.
good advice. Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
You don't get to soak in and just, "Okay, I'm ready." Like, instead, it's that anxiety if you go the next day when you come back, that you don't get to enjoy the last couple of days of your
right.
vacation because you're thinking about what's waiting for you. Give
Or if
yourself a
you've been
buffer.
just, like, running around even more ragged, which is what I happen to do on vacation, it's like, go, go, go. If you have the day back to just reset and kind of, like, reestablish normal life before getting back into the grind of work, it's a good thing.
Yeah. So my other thing is my husband plans all of our trips. Like I
Cool.
just don't do anything.
Nice.
And people are like, "What? You're a project manager." I said, "That's exactly why."
Yes.
Because I will be like it is he'll say, "Do you want to know?" I'm like, "No, surprise me." And I have the best time. I have no expectations. I'm not on a time clock. I'm not like, "Are we going to do this?" I'm like, "Just tell me where to be."
Yep.
And it's amazing.
I'm the same way, Crystal. I refuse to plan anything. Do you know that I even will not look at a menu at a restaurant? Because I'm not even kidding, and I don't eat meat at this point in life, but, like, I'm like, I don't want to make decisions. I'm actually, like, probably one of the most easygoing people you know, like, tell me what we're doing, where we're going, where we're eating, and I am happy. I will be your partner in crime. I'm actually going on vacation in Berlin in 3 weeks. I have 0 things planned, and I'm happy
Nice.
with that. Like, I want to go and just disconnect and explore and relax and enjoy. And I just think that's so important. But like everyone's different, you know, like a lot of
Mhm.
PMs are alpha in that way that like we are scheduled down to the minute and I'm just like, "Yeah, this is where I can do that for work and I can get like prickly and angry over things at work, but like
Right.
like I can orchestrate and organize, but when I'm on vacation, I'm on real recess.
No, absolutely, and that's what we did when we were kids, like, you just went out and it's like, "Do I wanna be kickball? Do I wanna do
Right.
dodgeball?" It was we never went out there and planned like, "Okay, now we're gonna do hopscotch. For
Yeah.
this 20 minutes,
You
you were
live in
just
the
having
moment.
fun." Yeah, and it was okay when the teacher called you and said, "It's time to come in." You're like, "Oh."
Yeah, right.
It's like, that's what you need, that's what recess is about,
It's true.
and and having that connection even with people you don't know, and that's what I also love with bringing in the summit is that I'm connecting people and they're making those connections and feeling okay and permission to say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this. What do you do?" And they're like, "Oh, well, I do that." And it's not necessarily people that you're working with where you feel like you all need to know it all.
Yeah, and it's
I
even
love
better
it.
in that case because you're meeting people in different organizations who are maybe doing similar things, And then you start to realize the challenges are the same, and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, I found my people." Can't tell you how
Yes,
many times at the Digital PM Summit, someone has said to me, "Thank you so much for creating this space. I finally have found my people." And
that is the
that's what makes
quintessential
me feel
recess
good.
place.
Yeah. Like, that is what it is all about. But I think, like, what we're talking about, it feels bigger than project management, right? Like, we're focused in project management because that's our world. We know that the role or the job can get intense for some folks in some organizations, but I, I don't know. I think that this is more about leadership and the role that a leader has to play in creating a culture where recovery isn't seen as slacking off,
Yeah.
but as something that's necessary to a lot of things, including the quality of the work. So, what role does the leader play in creating that kind of space?
Demonstrate the behavior you want to
Mm,
see in your teams.
yeah,
Like, if you tell them, "Don't burn yourselves out," and then they see that you're available 24/7 or that you're emailing oh my gosh, do not email your team at 9 o'clock at night because it does create that. But discomfort and anxiety among your team members that they have to be on. I mean, I know that some people will put in their what is it, their signature lines, like, "Don't think that when I email you that this is just when I'm most productive." No, schedule emails.
yeah,
Like, you
right?
do not like and I get it, like, you have a quiet moment, the kids are asleep or the significant other is away, and you have a moment to email, but there's now a feature within our just about everyone's email platform that you can schedule. So it doesn't have to be sent right then and there. And I think that also adds to the pressure of for people to feel like they're on. Um, I just it's so important for us as leaders to also display the same behavior if you don't wanna have a burnt team, because in the end, you might be able to squeeze everything out of them, but they're also gonna get to the point of, "I don't care," or they're gonna leave. And
Yeah.
then now you're stuck with their work and having to redistribute, and now you've already have an overtaxed team.
Yep.
It's it's also too the pressure of saying yes, so we say yes and take on too much, and that adds on a lot. Whether or not you have a plan or you have a scope discussion, um, we need to be careful. Like, there's a way, you can do the no sandwich or you can do the yes if. So, yes, we can do this if you give me 3 more people, add to the schedule, but this is what you're it's not as easy as like, "Oh, can you just add that?" And I know it feels like, well, if I say no, they're gonna think that, you know, I'm I don't believe in myself, but no, that's in your head. Like, people are just hoping that you can. People are gonna ask, and I don't get mad at them for asking to add to scope because you might say yes, and then you, Boo Boo the fool, said yes, and then you've got all this work on your plate. It's like, actually, we're at capacity. Tell me, using the Moscow technique, is this a must-have?
Mm,
If so, do we need to take something off the list to do this? If you really find
prioritization.
this important.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, absolutely.
101, prioritization
It
101.
is. It's a good takeaway though, right? I mean, it's like we recognize that we have all of these tools and frameworks out there, but there are simple instances where they can be super handy and helpful, and it can help you personally, not just for your team. And it's a really good point. All right. I'm going to ask you maybe two more questions. It's 2026. Obviously, you know the topic that is all the rage. It's AI. We're not getting through a conference without any AI talks, and we're not getting through this recording without one either. So, with AI kind of like promising making our work faster, and I feel like in some ways like increasing expectations, do you think that we're actually getting better at creating space to think because we're making work faster and creating that space? Or are we just filling time with more work?
The latter. Absolutely filling
Fortunate,
more
right?
time with more work, yeah. And I had this conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago that I don't have time to and it's on me. I'm not making time. I'll speak for me and then I'll talk about in the workforce, but for me as a solopreneur, I now have added more things that I wasn't able to get done, right? But the problem is that I've added these things where I'm not ready to push it out yet because I still need to review it. So I recognize that because I've gotten caught a couple times, full disclosure, where I put something and I didn't fully review it. And the client was like, "Where'd you get this from?" And I'm like, uh, and I looked it up later and AI was like, "Oh, I made it up." I was like, "You bastard."
Damn.
I was
Right?
like,
That's
and
the whole
so,
thing about it. It's human
right.
judgment. It
It
doesn't
is
just make a nice
human judgment.
product for you. You've got to
Mm-mm.
actually engage with it and correct it.
Yep,
And even when
yep.
you think it's got the facts and the data that you're even if you're giving it to it, it's not using it properly. It's still a
Not.
silly robot that makes mistakes. Yeah.
It's an assistant. So, right, if your junior
Yeah.
person, your assistant created it, would you just, like, trust it? Like, no, you're
Right.
the expert, the subject matter expert, you still need to review it. So, whereas before I might have created 2, it took me time to create 2 reports, I reviewed it, vetted it thoroughly. I'm creating 4 reports. But now I'm spending 4 times or twice as much time reviewing it, so I haven't given myself the space to read a book that I've been wanting to read because I can crank out all these reports or crank out this memo,
Yeah.
and sometimes I just need to stop and think. And that's where I am concerned a little bit about us as a profession, as a human race on critical thinking.
Yeah.
Because I do see that kind of getting lost. And I even recognize it a little bit a couple times with myself. And it's like, just stop, Crystal. Like stop and think through this. And even with that, as I review proposals, for instance, and I look at it, I'm like, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't promise that to a client. So let's not put that in here.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Like, I don't want to put out something that ultimately isn't me and
Yeah.
my voice.
I
But
almost feel like in some ways, like there's this thought that using AI reduces your need for critical thinking, but I actually think it increases it
creases.
because it's never producing the deliverable that you want or expect. So you have to go through whatever it's presenting back to you and validate or sometimes invalidate it and
Yes.
start over and, or just remove and rewrite or redo. It's really interesting. I see I'm with you. Like I think that AI is making me want to do more. So I am creating more work for myself. It's
Mhm.
exciting though because it's so new, but I can see the cognitive load adding
Yes.
and adding and adding because it's like just because you can do these things doesn't mean that you should.
Right. And so for people in organizations, there's definitely now this pressure because you hear organizations laying off folks because the folks who are remaining, now you're required to use AI and now you're using AI to do the work of 4 people on your team that will and it's like, yes, it produces the work, but I still have to review it.
Right.
And I at least
So it
had
required 4 human beings to do it.
right!
Yeah,
And those secondary people, I still would require them to check their own work.
correct.
So it's yeah,
Yeah, and when you're talking
we'll
about data and risks and budgets and timelines, it's important that a person's involved there. Hey, we
absolutely.
we have already been talking for 30 minutes almost. I have one final question, and then we're gonna wrap up. So, just kind of looking ahead, obviously, we're gonna go to Asheville for the Digital PM Summit in October. You're gonna deliver a keynote. What do you hope people are still thinking about a week after they leave your session?
To put them first, like, put yourselves like, make yourself your own project,
Yeah.
and I don't think we do that enough, like, we're all a work in progress, just as individuals, but you know, sometimes it is doing those exercises. If money were no object, what would you be doing? Can you take time out for a couple of days or a week to do that? Yes, it can be challenging when you're a solopreneur, but as a, W-2 person, that is a benefit that you have within your organization. And if you feel, some kind of way, have a conversation with your boss about that. Hey, I wanna take vacation, and I would love your support, and I feel like sometimes we don't have that support. I'm making a plan to be away for 1 week. What do you need from me to make sure everything is set up that you don't even that you know? And sometimes it's this fear of, like, I don't wanna make myself too indispensable, but the way that companies are laying off folks, nothing is guaranteed,
It's
and you
true.
owe it to yourself. You really do, because they could let you go in a heartbeat, and then you're pissed because I gave them all my time. I gave up vacation. I gave up going to see my friend, and I don't want anyone to have that bitterness. I want you to live life to the fullest, and the fullest does not have to include working like
Stop.
a dog.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. Well,
Yeah.
Crystal, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in Asheville, and to hearing this talk. I feel like every time I talk to you, I leave with something else to kind of think about. And I have a feeling that this session is going to do exactly that for people. Like, I think project managers need to be thinking about this stuff. So I'm really excited for this. So, if you are coming to the Digital PM Summit and you're listening to this, join us October 19th through 21st in Asheville. You don't want to miss Crystal's session, Recess for Grownups, Why Your Best Project Thinking Happens When You Stop Working. I think it's one of those talks that's going to change the way a lot of us think about productivity, leadership, and really, I think what it means to be a project manager every day. So, again, thank you, Crystal. Can't wait to see you in Nashville.
Same, look forward to it.
Bye.